forgot my leg. There we go. So I found myself thinking about free fall recently. And in fantasy games, we have fly spells. But at lower level powers, like second level spell levitate, lets you go up and down. Now the spell only provides magic that provides vertical movement. So you can go up, you can go down, that's it. If you want to get horizontal, the spell allows you to, like, you could pull yourself along something, like that. Or pull a rope and pull yourself in that direction. Um, but the spell itself is only giving you vertical travel. Um, so I thought to myself, well, that's cool. And fly's cool. The levitate's fairly, it's like 1 minute per level. Fly is less, I can't remember, I think it's like it's like one rounder level or something. It's a very short duration spell. There should be something in between those two spells. So I thought about, well, what about freefall? What if we create a spell that just completely makes you neutral buoyancy as far as gravity is concerned? It provides no motive energy. You just suddenly have no weight. You are in a free fall environment, even though the world around you is not. Um, this means if you want to go up, you just push off the ground. But you can't stop yourself unless you have some means of offering some kind of resistance. Now, if you're smart, you'll push very gently. You float up and you touch the ceiling. You can push yourself back down again. But if you're dumb and you push yourself really hard, you're going to hit that ceiling really damn hard. Unless you have some kind of other ability that could provide you some kind of braking ability. Because that is a very useful spell, but it has severe limitations. So I was thinking, if you were going to have that kind of a spell to be like, you've levitate, you have this negate gravity spell or whatever you want to call it, for give it a bit of a fancy vibe, and then you have fly, I would change the levitate spell to only allow vertical travel. You can't clamber. You're in an elevator. That's it. And then the negate gravity spell, that one gives you the freedom to move in any direction you want to move, but you're not moving rapidly. Or if you're moving rapidly, you're better hoping that you can stop yourself some way, because otherwise you're going to either soar very high and hopefully find something to catch on to before the spell runs out, or you're in trouble, because it would be quite possible for a person to push themselves off the ground and travel all the way up to the maximum duration of the spell, and then have the spell end, and then suddenly they are no longer neutrally buoyant, and they get to experience free fall. Not necessarily a bad thing, say if you had a gliding ability, that would be kind of cool, because this would be faster than levitate. Levitate has a speed cap of 20 feet per round, whereas I would allow the negate to be, you'd be able to get your regular movement speed or even a dash speed. If you really push off something hard, you just don't have any way to change your direction. You're stuck unless you have you have some other force that allows you to change your direction. Was it what's the word? What's the magic item? The decanter event of endless water. That would be kind of cool. Use it use that as an engine for moving around, like Wally in the movie with his fire extinguisher. I just think it would be interesting. I haven't come up with any stats for this or not. It was just an idea kicking around in my skull. But I like the idea of a spell that is between levitate and fly, because I've always felt that there was a gap. The jump spell is cool, for example, but again, the jump spell also has limitations, whereas the negate gravity spell I'm discussing has limitations, but they're different. They're more based on the actions of the person. It would also mean that you could put this on, like levitate. You can cast levitate on an object, making it neutrally buoyant, or on a person, making them neutrally buoyant. They have to be a willing participant in this unless you overcome their spell resistance. But then you have a balloon. You cast this on an object, and it would be I think the levitate's 100 pounds per level. And that's relatively reasonable. So you'd be able to cast it on an object, make it neutrally buoyant, and then just move it with you. But when the spell is over, it goes right back down on the ground. And of course, you could always end the spell early. But you can do the same thing with the levitate spell. Uh, I just like this idea. It's what I like to think of as very plastic. It is a utilitarian spell. It gives you an ability that then a person can then figure out, how can I use this? It creates a tool. It is not an incredibly specific thing that only does one thing. It's not a unitasker. This is a multitasking spell. I love multitasking magic items. They are just cool. My favorite magic item probably in all of D&D that's ever existed, or Pathfinder, is the Rod of Lordly Might, because it is a literal Swiss Army knife of tools. I want one of those dang things so damn bad. It would be so cool to own a Rod of Lordly Might. Um, but this spell, a Negate Gravity spell, is very similar to that. It does one thing, but then it gives you a lot of options. And I think creative people could have a lot of fun with it. They're going to abuse the hell out of it, but okay. Sometimes the fun part of games is abusing the hell out of the system for fun and profit. You know, why not? And this could be used to be very helpful. This could be used as a means of neutralizing an enemy. This, because when you're trying to attack while you're in free fall, it's much different. You have massive negatives when you're trying to swing a sword. When you suddenly find yourself tumbling over and over and over and over again, and you don't know how to stop yourself unless you make an acrobatic check. So when you realize, hey, if I do this, I can counter my motion. You eventually figure out how to kind of get yourself into a end that spin, because otherwise you're going to be there forever. Um, Wind resistance or air resistance in that moment is your friend. So let's talk about utilitarian spells like this. I've rambled on long enough, so let's hear your thoughts on the topic. Do you have things like this in your game? Have you come up with any of your original ideas that have this? And if you're an old screw like me, how have you found ways of abusing systems that were handed to us, and the people that did it didn't think them through as deeply as, say, an engineering student did?